Star Wars geek girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
I like how everyone calls it my book when it's just one story.
Well,
no, I'm into it. I'm like, yeah, my book.
All your books.
Your book.
You wrote all of them. The other names are just your pen names.
Oh my god, no! I couldn't do it. Everyone else does. Like, it's so amazing, and I was just like, it feels very. It feels like high school, and like you want to sit at this one table and have lunch, and
you can't sit with us.
It feels a little bit. That's just it. Is that I got grandfathered into sitting at the cool table, so it's a little bit like, hey, Rebecca Roadhorse, can I have lunch with you? Like, you know, like, can I sit at your table? Do you wanna look at my notes? You know, like, so that's my feeling a little bit about it.
Well, you're a really great writer, and I definitely enjoyed your book. I'm gonna call it your book this entire time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I really liked your, like, this is weird, I guess, but I really liked your, like, imagery, like, the way you wrote. Like, I was reading it, and I was like, oh my god, I love this. Like, the way your style, I guess.
Thank you. I always think I'm too wordy.
I like wordy, so. Because I'm also very wordy. Like, the teacher will be like, okay, just write a page of, like, notes, and I'll have, like, 20, and I'm like, okay, well.
That'll serve me well. That's why I'm not very active on Twitter, because I'm like, you can't contain a flood of words coming out of this, you know, it's just not I will not be limited.
No. Amazing. That should have been my senior quote. I will not be limited.
Right. What was your senior quote?
I think it was a Carrie Fisher quote, like, the only exercise I'll get is, like, running off with the mouth or something. Something like that. It was... I have to look it up now. Hold on. I was going to do Star Wars Rebels quote, but also Carrie Fisher.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would take a Carrie Fisher quote over a Dave Filoni quote. That's mean. He's a quotable guy.
Yeah, but Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, and he would, you know what? Dave Filoni would take a Carrie Fisher quote over a Dave Filoni quote.
That's fair. Everyone, there we go. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Oh, yeah. The only exercise I get lately is running off at the mouth and jumping to conclusions.
Huh? That's really good. She was so clever, man.
Yeah. It was amazing.
I know. I miss her. I'm really glad that I got to see her interviewed at Celebration London. Warwick Davis did that, and Gary was with her. And they were reenacting, did you ever see this? They were like reenacting like the Wicket and Leia scene. And then Gary like gets in between them like, like he won't have it. He's like, how dare you? You fake attack my mom. It's really sweet.
Cute. Yeah.
So what's up, guys? New podcast.
Yeah, it's already recording. Cause
I know, I saw. So I've been kind of careful, but not really.
That's okay.
I haven't used any curse words. I don't think I've said anything that I wouldn't want you to use. So, yet.
Yet. I know when we podcast, I'm just going to say this because when my family and I podcast, my mom will like curse and my dad's like, you can't do that here. Stop. she just goes off sometimes.
It's funny though because your dad brought the first and I think only F-bomb ever on our podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's so natural for him. I just like...
I know. Your dad has like a way of cursing where it doesn't feel like he's cursing. Like it's another word. I don't know how he does it.
It's normal.
But
that's a skill. I want that. That sounds good.
They told me that I have to pay the bills in order to curse, so I can't even curse while I'm out here as an adult.
Oh. Okay. Well, someday you get to curse all you want.
Perhaps.
I remember the first time my mom caught me cursing. I was and I won't use the word because podcast times, but I was playing with my Barbies. something. So the way I played with Barbies is I named all of the Barbies after goddesses in the Greek pantheon, and then like tried to dress them accordingly. And then they needed to do things like be able to stand on cliff tops and look really like regal, or like, and by cliff tops I mean the side of my bed, or like fly, you know. And I was trying to do something with one of them, and I dropped it. And I remember I said, "Gee, dang it," right? But not that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, 7. Like, and I was in my room and I said it really, I thought, soft. And I heard my mom all the way down this really long hallway in the kitchen go, "Don't you dare." And then she came running. And by the time she got to me, I was like, burst into tears. Because I was like, oh no, what have I done? It was really scary. And then she just berated me. And she was like, "I know you're saying that because your father has." So that was the first time. It really left an impression with me.
Nice.
But that said, I curse like a sailor, but I will not do that on this podcast today.
I did it like once, like on accident. Something happened and like I freaked out and I just slipped. And my dad looked at me, stared at me for a good second, like his eyes super wide. And he was like, "Lizzy, come here." And I was like, "Oh no." And he like smacked my hand. Like not bad or anything, but it was just just terrifying.
How about you, Zoe? Do you have a horror story?
I mean, I'm sure there's one. I just can't think of it right now. Like, I can't remember what.
Well, if it comes to you.
Although, you know what? My little sister curses way more than I did when I was 16. She gets away with everything. Yeah. You know?
Little sister, yeah.
Little ones always do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair. Because your parents are tired. Like the older ones have wiped them out, and they're just like, this is just what it is. Yeah.
My mom gets mad when Axel says boomer.
Okay, first of all, rude. But second, like, if he's calling her a boomer, that's just not the case. We're Generation X.
Well, also,
neither a Karen nor a boomer. Because the most Karen thing I could say. What?
I love Axel, but he has a tendency to repeat the same jokes in my
experience. He does. Like, constantly. He says boomer. There was something else that we weren't allowed to say because my mom just got annoyed of us saying it so much. It was bruh. When we said bruh, like if something happened, we're like, "Oh, bruh." And my mom was like, "Don't say that." And I'm like, "Sorry."
You need like a whiteboard with like the monthly banned words.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah. So your book.
Yeah. On track.
We can do an intro. Is this the podcast now?
I'm glad that the people who are over, like I am 2 times as old as you are at least, right? Are the people keeping this on track. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess we'll do intros. I'm Zoe, Star Wars Geek Girl, obviously, because you're listening to the Star Wars Geek Girl podcast. If you're listening to this, I'm here with Lizzy.
Hi, I'm Lizzy Perales, and we're here with a very special guest that you've already heard, unless this gets switched up. But you know, whatever.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Hi, Anne. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Am I supposed to introduce myself? I'm Anne Convery. I don't use the E when I say it out loud because I like to sound not like a schmuck. Like, that's what I do.
Yeah. So we're here because you have an amazing story, but I'm going to say book because it's, I'm not going to lie, it's the only one I read because I didn't want to buy it because I moved here before and then I was like, oh, I should read that. Because everything is, the other ones are like retellings, and I was like, you know.
Well, and you know the Clone Wars backwards and forwards, right? Like,
yeah. And so my dad sent me pictures because I didn't want to buy the book and then just read one story.
So did he just send you pages? Like,
see. That's
pictures of pages. No.
I
don't know. I don't know that I can condone that as somebody contracted with Lucasfilm Publishing and Disney Plus.
What else is going to come for you, Lizzy?
No, I might just buy it because the art in there is just so beautiful by Lorna Kaw. It's amazing.
Isn't Ksenia's art so beautiful? I had no idea that she was doing the art until it was like I found out like everybody else, right? Even though like I like know her all right, and we're buddies on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. And so when it was announced, I immediately was like, I'm so glad it's you, because you have no control over that. And I think that what Lucasfilm Publishing has put out has been beautiful. Like I've seen some really beautiful stuff, so I wasn't like worried about it. But you just really, really want to love it, and I was like, oh, it's you. I love it, and
I love it extra.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so beautiful. Like I loved all her the Star Wars Rebels ones that she always did. Those were beautiful.
Oh,
Lots of Heron Kanan. That was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen I've posted it before. She at, I think it was Celebration London, gave me to give to Dave, but I say gave me, the Matryoshka dolls that she'd done of Rebels. And so it's like the whole like Rebels family on the outside, and then you go deeper in and it's got baddies and everything. And there's like, at one point there's like a loft cat. And then the very tiniest doll is Dave. Like wearing a little cowboy hat and a little wolf shirt. And it's the most ridiculous, best thing. And so that's when she first got on my radar. And I was like, who's this amazing person who not only is a great artist, but just gets it? So, yeah.
Yeah. I might just get it for that.
Before we start in on the podcast, I want to say to the listeners that this podcast obviously is spoilers for the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you figured it out by now, but in case you hadn't, spoilers. I would recommend getting the book, obviously. I also have only read your story, not because, I'm going to read the rest. I'm reading another Star Wars book right now, and I can't, like, divert my attention between two whole books at a time.
Gotcha.
My brain is
you got to read the rest, because there's some great stories in there.
Yeah, I read this one to get ready for this. But
I appreciate you doing your homework. Yeah. Or also, if you're not in the mood to read, which I don't know what that's like, but I'm assuming sometimes people aren't not. And the audiobook is really something. And Kat Tabor, who read my story, did a really creepy good job. There was a really good job on that. Yeah. So.
She always does a good job, I feel like, in everything. So
yeah.
I had to read it myself because my dad's the one that always has audiobooks because he drives around everywhere and does like errands. So usually I'm in the car with him and we're just listening to a book together. So I had to read a book by myself this time.
Oh my God. It was like, this is the first book that I'm reading away from home.
Yeah.
That's just one of your letters.
And of course it's like, here's a scary story with some zombie witches in it. And
it was great. I love the Night Sisters. That's why I was so excited for this. And I love Bug. She's small and adorable, and I want to protect her.
Oh, adorable. I think so too. I like her.
Yeah. So how did you I guess I just want to say, how did you think of this? Are Night Sisters just your favorite?
Yeah, they're totally my favorite. So the deal is that Dave kind of kept talking about how I'm a storyteller too, like at work. And I think it was James Waugh at Lucasfilm who first was like, hey, well, what would Anne want to tell a story about? So that made Dave come home and say, what would you want to tell a story about? And before it's even out of his mouth, I was just like, the witches, Night Sisters, because that's just my deal, I'm not going to pan. I know we're all can see each other, and I'm not going to pan around the library here, but it's Creepy Town USA. It's very witchy. Yeah. It also looks like an episode of Hoarders, except for where I have the camera trained, so we're just not going to do that right now.
Your Animal Crossing place is very witchy, too.
Yeah, that's right. We're Animal Crossing buds, and you've been into the inner sanctum.
Yes.
Yeah, because not even just the house, but I'm like, I need this area for sacrifices, and I've been I think, since you've been there. Yeah. Zoe, I went inside her house. I didn't think she was in there. I just went in, and I went to the right, and there was just skeletons, and it was lights were out, and there were cards, and it was kind of creepy. And then she comes back, and she's wearing the same clothes as me, and the same thing. It was.
I've been seriously considering getting Amazon, and it's funny because yesterday I had the tab open to buy a Switch and get the game and stuff, And I was like, I'm really thinking about this. And then today I get a paycheck that's slightly more than what I need to get a Switch, the game, and a year of Nintendo Online. I was like, oh my god.
You have
If
it.
you want to do well in college, I recommend against it.
That's fair. I played the old Animal Crossing, and it definitely, I mean, I was like 8, but it definitely, like, sucks you in for ungodly amounts of time.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to be prepared for that. The only reason I'm playing is because there's a pandemic. Full stop. Like, that's where I'm at. So, but I'm sorry, to get back to your really kind question.
Sorry. Yes.
No. I'm the culprit here. About Bug and the witches and everything. So, I think a lot about where does story come from? And I mean, it just comes from, I think, first of all, what are you interested in, you know? And like, are you interested in people? Are you interested in heroics? Are you interested in action? And a lot of times, I'm not a visual artist the way Dave is, but I will have something in my head that I want to see. And so my way of seeing it is to write around it and write to it, write out, you know? So that's what that was. I was like, and I was mostly just really interested in like, who are these witches? Because there can't just be the Night Sisters, like Mother Talzin's clan of Night Sisters. And if you go back and like look at legends and tabletop games and all of the different things that have been happening for decades now, there's so much more Dathomir lore. So it didn't take long of poking around in there that I was like, wow, this world is wide open, and it is a whole world. It's a whole planet. So we could really flesh this out. And as much as I love the Night Sisters and like how warlike and kind of unforgiving in some ways they are, and yet so much about their sisterhood, I was like, but what if there was somebody who was kind of the opposite of all that, who wanted to be left alone, who wanted to make things and not destroy things, you know, and that was her jam. And I think that was the seed of it. Like, what did the different witches look like? Because women are different. And I just wanted to really look at, I mean, I wanted to tell a fun story for like middle readers and for everybody, because Star Wars is for everybody. But I really wanted to like explore more about women and their agency, and that just because somebody's different doesn't mean they aren't strong or have potential, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I really loved the characters. Bug was just, I need to protect her. I'm sorry, like, she's so sweet, and she meets an older witch that comes in and is asking about Dathomir because the war comes by. So I'm guessing that those episodes were your favorite, right? That arc, the whole, like...
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that
coming back.
Well, the Ventress thing, too, specifically, because she's pretty amazing.
Right.
But yeah, I think that those are the ones that just sort of made the most sense to me and were like about potential, because I was like, space witches? I didn't know that was a thing, you know? It's kind of like the moment in, also spoiler alert for The Last Jedi, it's like the moment when Leia's out there in space and you're like, oh no, and then how she uses the Force. And I was like, and I remember I sat there and I was like next to Dave, we were at that like premiere thing, and I like elbowed him. He looked at me to see how I would take that moment, and I know that that's a controversial moment for lots of Star Wars fans. But I just turned to him and I went, Space Witch! So kind of, I don't know, I love that idea. There's something so about women's power and how it stands in opposition to what we think of as power in our construct, you know? And so that's why it's looked at a lot of times and over history with like in our world, in our galaxy, like witch burnings and all that, it's looked at as either dangerous or laughable, you know? And so when I see it in at least flashes taking center stage in the Clone Wars with the Night Sisters arcs and with Ventress, or even just with like, and I know that Carrie's using the Force, but I'm like, that was some witchy business. Like I get really excited because imagine a world where we didn't look down on some of the some of the more esoteric teachings and wisdoms and ideas of that arise from being femme, if that makes sense to me, like just, you know, and whatever that is, however you express that and whatever your journey has been to becoming who you fully want to be. I don't know, there's just like this whole wealth of experience that I think because we're so geared towards the hero's journey. And I love men, don't get me wrong. I love but we're so geared towards that arc always that we're not always looking like over our other shoulder to be like, but what's a different take on this experience? Which is why I think that these books, like From a Certain Point of View, or these retellings of the Clone Wars are actually really great. And especially because we're giving, I don't know who we is, but like they're giving these stories to tell to a much more diverse cadre of authors. I think that we're really getting some interesting work that only enhances what we have to work with to begin with.
Yeah. Yes.
This is
Just yes.
kind of, I guess, sort of based off what you just said, but one of our questions is why, like, did you decide to go with like a really young girl's perspective through Bug rather than like an actual witch or like any of the other characters?
Yeah, that's a good question because I don't know. No, I started off with Falta, the witch, and doing a sort of first person, like, let me tell you a thing, you know, like very like witch addressing the unsuspecting person on the other side of her cauldron who's come to her for wisdom or whatever, you know. And then I was like, that's not working for me. Like that voice wise isn't working for me. So like sat back and I was like, well, if I want to get a different take on this witch, like who do I want looking at her? Who do I want wondering about her? And I was like, the person who's going to wonder the most about her is like a younger girl from a totally different planet in space who's never encountered anything like her, who is like, who's this wild woman with her black cat and what's her story? And so it arose more from there. I'm like, who do I want to see her, or who do I want to inhabit? Because a little bit the writing process is about inhabiting each of your characters to a point. And it was this very like Cinderella, or like, you know, the old like Grimm's fairy tale version, Aschenputtel character, who, although she lives with her actual parents as far as we know, is still, you know, mistreated or unloved and neglected. And I wanted her to start to see possibility, and I was like, the best possibility is this lady. And like, obviously Falta's got her problems. But you could just imagine, I mean, you guys are both like younger women on, you know, you're on the precipice of like what your life is going to look like. Things are complicated right now.
Very. Right.
So, I mean, I would think that you're probably looking all the time for like, is there a model for how this could be okay? Because I'm always doing that. And I'm, you know, 40, I'll be 46 in a couple of weeks. And I'm always looking at like women older than me and going like, I like the way she's doing that. Can I be like that when I'm that age? Like, that's what I'm like, she seems to be okay, even though everything's not okay. So I think that that's what I wanted, is a little bit of like, who's this? Why? What? And oh, that's a way of being in the world. I don't just have to stay here.
Yeah. I really like that she's able to go out like afterwards and be able to explore just the galaxy. And I like that, like, there was like, because I was reading it with my boyfriend, and we got to the part where they were like, oh, it's in the mid-rim, and he was like, gee, that's still like a whole bunch of planets. I'm like, but she's so excited. She has hope that she's alive and she's well, and like she's out there, and just
that she got to narrow it down at all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, Star Wars is so funny that way, right? You're just like, well, if they're in the mid-rim, we'll be able to find it. There is this kind of feeling of it's so vast and yet it's so small. Like, are we on Tatooine again? Oh, you know, like all these things seem to happen in these places, and there's so many places still to explore. But yeah, I mean, that's a good point in that that's like a really hopeful attitude. Like, that's still a ton, but it's better than it was a minute ago.
Yeah. That's what she was saying. Like, she says, like, it would have taken me many Tuca life, like something like that, to be able to find out even that information. And Very good. Very good. Very good.
I reread it like a week or so ago to prepare to talk to people because you give birth to a book baby. And you're like, I am tired now. And unlike regular babies, you don't have to do much with it right away. Like, you're like, it's just out there. And, it's like a giraffe. It just drops out and it's already on its four legs and then it just moves around. But it's like a lot of mental work. So I, had written it months and months ago. Mm-hmm. And then it goes through its process and then it comes out and you're like, oh yeah. So I had to go back and do my homework on my own story. And do either of you write?
Yeah, I do.
Zoe, you write.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about your writing.
I like.
It's very good.
Yeah.
I read it. It's good.
That's a good friend. But also, I'm sure that's true. But how do you feel about it?
I have like a weird relationship. I feel like because sometimes I'll like write something. I'm like, this is really good, and I'll reread it over and over again. I'm like, yeah, this is great. I'm proud of this. And then like a while later, I'll read it again, and I'll just see everything I wish I did different. And I just it's like I do like an autopsy on like what I do. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a really good word because it feels like dissecting a body and like trying to put things right. That's why drafting is great. That's why it's like you should write and rewrite and rewrite again. And you're not really even writing until you get to the third time that you're writing it, But also, I used to have a relationship with my writing that was more like that I would like read it and just be like, ugh, I just see everything that's wrong. And I still do that. I'm very critical. But also more, I'm like, something that's sneaked in that's really nice is that I'm like, hey, that was a pretty good line. Like, and it doesn't happen very often, but it's happening. And I'm like, that's okay. That's pretty good. Gold star for that, Anne,
Got pet.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, for me, though, as someone with a really highly developed inner critic, that's a big step for me to be able to look at something that I did and be okay with it out in the world.
Let it run free.
Yeah. Go free, little giraffe book.
So Falta's black cat. Mm-hmm. So is an original character of yours for the story. Did anything inspire like him? Like, well, because Tuca cats are very just amazing. Yeah. So like, of course, a Tuca cat.
Quickly shout out Jonah Murray's amazing art. Because Jonah's.
Oh, I know, right? And I wasn't entirely, I went back and I felt sort of bad because I was like, that was the first time anyone has drawn something off a character that I did. And then I realized, oh no, Dave has done that for me. And just no one's seen it. And I was like, I'm sorry, hon. I love you. But Jonah Marie did this. Yeah. Okay, so an intense love of cats would be the first thing that informs
fair
conclusion of a Tuca cat. I like that you get your Lethal Tuca cats and you get your like the Tuca cat that shows up in The Mandalorian, and I'm just like, what's a Dathomiri Tuca cat like? And I'm like, of course it's a black cat. I just really honestly leaned into cliches about witches there.
Witches, yeah.
Because I think what's fun sometimes too is like, I'm going to make new stuff happen and I'm going to give you enough that it's interesting and I'm not just like phoning it in, but I'm also going to lean really hard in the best fun way I can into certain cliches. And I was like, a witch with a black cat is as cliche as you can get. How do I make it fun? Like how do I make this work in a way that's interesting? And I think that he holds his own. He's an interesting little guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's adorable. Yeah. And I would like to buy one because I went to the store and I found like a little plushie of like a Lothal cat.
Yeah.
If it was black, just dye it black.
I know. I should hit up is Tracy Canovio at Lucasfilm because she's always like making like just stuff for gifties. So I know she has some kind of in on people who do plushes and stuff. So I could be like, hey, Tracy. And then only people who are in the know would get one. It'll be very exclusive. It'll be like our own Dathomiri Witch Coven.
Yes.
It'll be the clan of the green-eyed Tuca cats.
I think that's the habit of just painting like Star Wars stuff all over my walls. And so I painted a brown like loth cat and then a white one, like the one from Rebels. And I was like, great, I have all the like naturally colored cats. And then I read the story. I was like, gotta get more paint.
If you paint that Tuca cat, you've got to send me a picture of that. That's very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Cats.
Did I answer a question at some point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. It's okay.
So randomly talking about cats. We brought that up. But I know you have some cats. Was like any particular one of your cats like an inspiration for Igor or?
I think that Icor was like the cat I don't have, because like I've never had a green-eyed cat and live on a green-eyed cat, and that's so mean to my cats who are great. So I have like a 17-year-old one-eyed chorty cat named Solo, and Dave. I mean, our cats are our cats, but Dave's cat is this more like 8-year-old princess, polydactyl, all white, pain in my butt named Doom. And she's great. They're great cats. They're good. I mean, nobody gets a cat because they're like, you know what? I would like to never be annoyed by anything. And I like to walk through my house feeling like I'm not going to get bitten or scratched at any moment. Cats are just going to do what cats do. And they're great. But they were definitely, I'm like, I'm going to have the cat that I want instead of the cat that I have, which is so mean because I love them.
I'm glad to know that Dave has his own cat.
It's his princess baby.
Oh.
She has a really sassy attitude. And when she does a bad thing, I'm like, Dave, Doom did this. And he's immediately like, Doom's a good baby. And I'm like, oh.
Doom is a good bit. Yes.
Is it Doom like DOOM or Doom like DUME?
No, it's good question, but probably why you have that Doom in there might very well be because of her. It's DOOM, and she's technically named after Valeria von Doom.
I was curious. I had to know.
Yeah.
Kanan was named after a cat. His last name was like. Yes.
I mean, I don't want to go on record because I'm not sure, but I mean, Dave has a tendency.
It's my headcanon now.
Use it. That's fine. It's fine. I mean, my, Bo-Katan is me and my cat. Because even though her name is Solo, I call her the Boogie. And so she's Boogie Cat. And so that's what Bo-Katan came from.
Oh.
Boogie Cat Anne.
You need to sell like potographs, like the namesake of Bo-Katan.
I know. Poor Solo. She's just so ancient and oily and bony, and she just lives in her bed all the time, except for when it's mealtime, and then she comes out like, "Oh, is it time for snacks?" And I'm like, "Oh."
Oh, that's me, and I'm not old. Anyway. The ending of the story has Bug reject the witch's offer to find out what her real name is, and she wants to find it out herself. Mm-hmm. Like, why? Why did you make this choice?
Why?
Why?
Well, what do you think of that choice?
I like it because she gets to figure out who she is, and I think, at least for me, as part of the LGBT, that's something that's very true to me, being able to find yourself and figure yourself out, because it's very difficult. So that's what I took from it, but I want to know what you did it.
Yeah, great. I'm going to continue to avoid that question and say, Zoe, what do you think of that choice?
Oh, well, I thought it was, I liked, the same, getting to find yourself. It was evocative of Rey to me. Because her arc is finding herself, and I know her taking the Skywalker name is controversial, but I enjoyed that, her picking her own name and finding it on her own, and not because of her past. So I like that aspect of it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm honestly just quizzing you because I haven't asked anybody who's read the book what they think of that, and actually people have talked about that she's done that, but nobody's asked me why. And I think part of it is that I wanted to annoy myself. Because I want a name. I want to know her real name. And And so I like, you're writing it and you're building up to like, oh, she's not gonna be called Bug anymore. It's gonna be so great. And I'm like, oh, the witch can tell her. And then I was like, but no, like I didn't even know. In the process of writing it, I didn't know that was gonna be the thing. And then I was like, no, because I like Bug. I like that you like Bug, and I like that you have that like instinct to protect, but I want her to be on a journey like kind of out of that. And right. I think that partially when she turns on Falta and is like, you could have just asked. I love that. I'm like, oh, I didn't know she had that fire in her. First of all, I didn't know. And I'm like,
you were making her and you were like, oh, I didn't know.
Look, if you can't, if when you're writing, you can have ideas about where you think something's going to go. But if you can't surprise yourself and have moments of like, oh, really? Then like, I don't even know like what the project of writing is about. So it was like, and then I was like, I really want, I mean, if a girl really has agency and she's about to step into a big universe, like, is it more liberating? Does it make her feel more confident or powerful if she knows that name that her parents, who obviously don't care for her the way parents should, like gave her, which is like no better really than the nickname, the cruel nickname, or should she just find one for herself? Should she make it up as she goes along, which is what it sounds like I'm doing as I answer this question, but I have thought about it a lot. And I just love that idea because like then you're a blank slate, like, I don't know. I think it might be a misattributed quote, but I think that, and this is just a paraphrase, that it was like Nietzsche who was like, if you name something, you kill it. And it's not, that's very dramatic. If I give something a name, you kill it. But it's just that if you tell somebody what they are, they may very well grow up believing that's what they are and that they are not any of the other amazing things that they could be, right? That's what that is. So I didn't want to tell her who she was. I want her to find out.
Right.
I think speaking of names, you said, obviously Bug, the name Bug for her had like a really specific like story behind it where they crushed the bug. And I was like, why would you do that? I don't know. I'm one of those people when there's a bug, I'm like, don't kill it. And then people kill it. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, I really felt that, to be honest. But obviously there's like a really specific story behind it. And I was wondering if that story came from like anywhere.
Actually, no. I think what it was is I had made this really sad world for her to inhabit. And I was like, I don't want to be on this planet. And then I thought, though, that, kids are smart and resourceful and creative and see things in a different way. And so these things that are like a nuisance to everyone else, which she feels like I could see her feeling a kinship with. And also they're kind of like the only other living thing going for her, except for people who come to visit the inn, and they're like adults mostly and stuff. And so I was just like, she needs to make a friend. And then when she made the friend, I'm like, whenever someone makes a friend like that, what happens? And I could have her parents be, say all the mean things in the world. But it's a matter of sort of show, don't tell, right? And so I realized, that bug ain't gonna live long. Like that, mom's gonna do, you're writing it, it's coming, and you're like, oh, she's so mean.
I put this bug in the world and I can kill it if I have to.
It's horrible when you kill things in writing, because you're like, I don't want to do this. It feels like you have no choice. Like, this is just what happens. Yeah.
It reminded me of my mom, not my mom, like her mom. Like my mom when she was little.
Okay. I was like, you'd have an intervention?
No. So when my mom was little, she would there were like beetles that would fly around. And she would tie it to a string and little
that's like actually a thing. I didn't just make that up. I guess it would be cool if I made them fly.
What do you mean?
Why didn't I talk to you sooner?
Talk to my mom and her.
It was a little balloon. That would have been cool. It would have been harder to step on those.
But you know what? Maybe if it's on the ground, it symbolizes how Bug is stuck at that point. So.
Zoe,
I
have only just met you for the first time right now, but Zoe. I really like the way you think.
I've in all my film analysis classes, that's just the way I think. And other people are like, oh, I don't know why I did this. I'm like, here's why you did it. I don't know what I'm talking about, but if it makes you feel better.
I know why you did this, so here you go. Here's an explanation.
Here's the reason why.
The professor thinks you're a genius. Like,
yeah. No, Jonna Marie gave me a lot of credit for a lot of thought when I talked to her. And I was like, no.
And that just shows how great you are at writing, you know?
Oh, yeah. It just comes naturally. No, I mean, that's just the thing, right? It's sort of like with Star Wars and fandom. I had a really nice chat on Monday with ladies who started up this website, Project Stardust. Have you seen it? It's like
I don't think so.
It's like a pretty cool website for like women and non-binary folks and everybody in fandom, and specifically Star Wars fandom. And we were just kind of having a chat about what it means to be a femme, be a woman, and like proclaim your love for a thing. Like, and that doesn't always get quite the reception that you want it to. But sorry, I got off track. Can you please edit this? Because I had a really great point.
But you know what? You said a really great point, but the audio, for people listening, the audio messed up and we just lost it. So
thank you, because I was really headed somewhere with that. Darn it. I want to tell you about those ladies because they're awesome. But what was it? It was very important. What were we just talking about?
You being a natural writer.
Yeah, say more about that. No. No, that wasn't it. It wasn't nice about me.
Being a woman?
Yeah, that sounds like something I'd talk about. Let's see. It wasn't about cats. That was earlier. We did that.
Jonah gave you credit for a lot of thought. That's something you said.
I feel like it has something to do with that. You know what? You just gotta edit this out because it's. I don't have it now, but depending on how much longer we talk, I might have it, and then it'll be explosive because I won't be able to.
We'll move on and come back to it later if we can.
Thank you. This is going to be the best worst podcast. I would like to say that I'm caffeinated, but not too much. I have not had anything to drink, and that I made sure I ate. So this is just who I am, and I'm willing to admit that.
We've had way more chaotic podcasts. It's all good.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
We're good. All right, so the next question we have is so the story that the witch that tells Bug about Falta and Yenna, and it's a very long story. It takes up I feel like most of the, so I didn't do a page count or anything, but it takes up a portion of the story. And obviously being a big part, does it have any implications for Bug as a character and her history, or?
Oh, for her history, well. Not necessarily. I think that is an artifact of, like I said to you before, I initially had the witch character being the person telling the story, and it didn't work. But then I came back around to it and I was like, oh, this is how it works. And I wanted it to be like a story within a story. And I wanted a little bit for Falta to be, when we tell stories, I think about ourselves, we tell them to shave off the rough edges sometimes, right? Or we tell them to really castigate sounds like the word, to really castigate, to really be hard on ourselves. Like when you're I'm an okay writer, or I do this, or when you don't want to. So you're either when you tell a story about yourself, you're either being self-aggrandizing, or you're protesting too much, oh no, I am so humble, and blah blah blah. So I kind of wanted to watch how Falta did that and where she was at in her own culpability for what happened to her daughter, because I think that she blames herself like any mom would for, I've lost my daughter, what did I do wrong? She's got all those questions going on. At the same time, she obviously has beef, major beef with Talzin. So I'm where is she on her personal arc of taking responsibility and blaming someone else? And I thought the best way to figure out sort of how she was starting to parse that for herself was to have her tell that bit. And then I also just really wanted a kind of a once upon a time moment within a Star Wars story, because I like stories within stories. And my default, because it's what I've studied, it's what I've written about, like in college and stuff, is fairy tales and how they work psychologically and what they indicate about us psychologically and what we can learn about ourselves from them. So it's no surprise that really what I thought I was doing when I took up so much of that story with the story within it, the story, was leaning on what I think is one of my strengths, like that the other stuff is like, that's good, but I'm like, but I think if I tell this bit like this, then we'll really have something, because I understand fairy tales more than I explicitly understand Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Am I talking too much?
No.
It's a pod. Like
I'm talking to you.
I always tell Zoe, because sometimes she's like, "Oh, I talk too much." I'm like, "This is a podcast. We talk as much as we want here."
Okay, good. But also tell me to shut up and jump in.
Yeah.
You're great. I was gonna
take my lady vitamins.
So in the story, the thing that kind of like lures Bug to Falta is the Monarch piece. I mix up my Najaric pieces.
Yeah, the Minoc and the Dejaric.
Yeah.
Which I've heard pronounced any number of ways by any number of people differently.
Yeah. It's who knows. But so that's what lures her. It's like the missing piece to her puzzle, and but it's like shinier and like brighter than and cleaner than the pieces that they do have. So, how what does that? Was there symbolism there on purpose?
I mean, it was a trap. Because Falta had been there a few days or however long at this point, and she was getting nowhere to get to the comms tower. And because she's a witch and because she has a little creepy cat that's also watching everything and walking around, she has Bug's number. She's like, oh, I see this kid plays that game. And, oh, I see that kid has access to that thing. So things you don't see in the story are that, Falta knows that Bug goes up to that comms tower. Falta knows that Bug plays this game, and does so by herself, which is, honestly, is that not, one of the saddest things you've ever heard of?
Yeah.
Like that's right up there with the Bug on the leash, right? It's like, I'm just going to play this game against myself.
Darn, I lost to myself.
Yeah, it keeps her brain occupied. She's smart, right? But yeah, so it was really just a trap. It was such an obvious trap. And when I was writing it, there was a point at which I did not include that. There's a point where I was like, if she'd been thinking more clearly, she'd be like, this is weird that the one thing I need is in this space, and and I added that because I was like, it's weird. It's weird that the thing she needs is right there. But that's the way with temptation too in fairy tales. The thing you need is suddenly really easy to get, and you should always be like, wait a second.
Yeah, but they never are anyway.
Yeah.
Well, there wouldn't be much of a story.
Yeah.
You think that, but at some point, something's going to be coming to you really easy. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't enjoy it, but you should also keep one eye out and be like, hold on a second. Just look for it. Just look and see if there's any black cats around.
Mm-hmm.
There's a piece of string, and then I'm gonna pull it, and there's a box of.
That's just life. That is life all the time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This book, I mean, I loved it. I can't stop saying that I love it. I also really like fairy tales, and I like reading all the, the little articles that are well, this is the gory and dark secret about the fairy tales. And so I liked all the witches, and I liked that you were expanding on that, because I don't know, at least for me lately, I've seen a lot of witch culture on TikTok and Instagram and stuff, and I'm always really interested.
Yeah.
Just in knowing about it. But so I really enjoyed seeing that in your story very, very much.
I've known you for a while now, Lizzy, and I know that you are a discerning fan with strong opinions about all of the Star Wars content that, for instance, my husband has a hand in making. So for you to like this story makes me so happy. Thank you. I'm really glad, because that means I succeeded. So thank you so much.
Of course, you did, and you were amazing, and the characters are amazing.
I don't know. I'm not going to be able to get through the rest of the day because my head's gonna be too big to go through any.
I mean, I definitely liked it because even though it wasn't like a retelling, it didn't have like all like the like main cast of Clone Wars, you know, like in that the other stories in the book have. It was still like it still felt very like Clone Wars, because I feel like one of my favorite things about Clone Wars is that they're like, even though it generally just follows like the story of the war, they have like they're like little like stories, like one-off arcs or episodes, like the Night Sisters obviously are one, where they just kind of, it's just like a new story just to be like, oh my god, that was really cool, I like that. And I think it definitely like it fit like really well, and I think it embodied like a lot of the spirit of like what I really love about the Clone Wars. I think it was perfect for the book.
Thank you. I think that I took a cue. I hate admitting this, but I may have taken a cue from Dave in that whenever Dave gets weird, I think is when it really works. So in Rebels, when we get to like that sort of the space between space and you know what I'm talking about, the portals and the whole thing, and the space wolves and the stuff. Like
Zeb even says, he's like, don't worry, when it gets weird like this, it's a good thing.
Yeah, the joke at that in our house is just sort of like, you know, I'll just like be walking around the house and I'll be like, space wolves, and then keep walking. But at the same time, I like super love it. I think it's great. And it's like where Dave really draws a lot of inspiration, really means a lot to him. And so we get also, I think, out of that some of the most emotional content, you know? So, I don't know, man. I was just like, I gotta get weird, and I gotta get weird in the way I like the things I like.
Lizzy, you know? Family. Oh my god, hi.
Oh, wow.
Family?
I told him to come in to say hi. I didn't know he was in the car.
You didn't tell me what I was coming to. You were just like, come to the Zoom, and I was like, why? I'm going to the store.
Hi.
Hi.
I've been talking too much.
Right, you're perfect.
That's not a thing. Whoever told you that's a thing.
I feel like I had a really good point that I was like revving up to about women and power and feminism. And then I lost track, and now no one's going to know what my super wise words were on that. You missed it.
Awesome. Me and Axel came and knocked it right off of the rails.
No, it was a while back. It was my own fault. Where are you guys headed?
Our bad. We're headed home. We got Axel's textbooks.
Yeah, that dude's jaywalking. Let's run him over.
Hey, that's not how this works. Okay.
Axel.
Okay, well, jaywalking.
Yeah, we're not. Like, this is not Judge Dredd, dude. We can't, like...
Oh, I forgot this is GTA 5.
No, this is not the way.
See, usually,
All right,
like...
well, I guess we'll let you guys go.
Okay.
Well, I'm really glad you dropped in to say hi.
You can come in when you're not driving.
Yeah, please don't run over pedestrians, please.
Yeah. I'm in control. We won't be letting Axel drive anytime soon.
No.
I hit a tree. I mean, I didn't hit a tree and she did.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Either way, everybody will be safe.
Either way.
Okay, this got out of hand real quick.
Did you know what that's like?
Yeah, next time let me know what's going on.
Dad, just say the book is great, because it is. Okay, bye, Dad.
The book is great, and it is.
You already wrote
Alright,
all
have a
about
good
it.
one,
You're
guys.
very kind. Yeah.
It was awesome. Right. Leave, please, leave. How do I leave?
That was the best guest appearance.
Well, usually what happens is, like, I'm at home, and he'll just come in and, like,
Right.
just jump in.
Like a
But-
cartwheel in the back of your room.
Yeah. But now that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
oh well. But it's okay. I'll just have him come up.
You'll have to, when you're in your dorm, you'll have to get your roommate to just like dress up as your dad and just come in.
She's shorter than me, so we'll see.
Platforms, it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I'll podcast in there with her. It's fine.
Just make it a tiny version of your dad.
Tiny.
Tiny version of your dad. Yeah.
Tiny female version, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Works.
So feminism.
I remembered kind of what I was thinking. So every podcast should always start, I don't care whose podcast it is, with, so feminism. And then it'll just root through everyone you don't want to be there. And then
Yes.
have people left who you need.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking about this Project Stardust, and I was thinking about our earlier topic of like power. And women's power and knowledge and our takes on things, and like how it's just, and how it's like feared or dismissed or whatever it is. And so when you were saying about like the rise of fitness on TikTok and all that stuff, is that I think that because a lot of us are feeling pretty stuck and powerless these days against a lot of things, that we are really seeing a rise of all that. So you've got your witchiness and your astrology, and you're like, I've got these crystals and I'm going to do some tarot and and all that, because it makes you feel like you have something to say and like some modicum of control over your narrative. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that that's where I was headed with that. And if I were to tie it back into the story, which I should be talking about, I would be like that's what I loved about Falcha as a maker too, is that she's just like, I'm gonna make things. I like making things. I'm so good at making things. I'm gonna own how good I am at making things that I'm gonna make a daughter. Like, I just loved that idea. And I think that a lot of us are just kind of spinning here in our quarantines, trying to do good work. And I like to think that when we get out of this, we're going to see some amazing things. Like if somebody just wants to play Animal Crossing and eat Cheetos and not harm a fly and stay home and not get anybody sick, like you have done your part for the pandemic. And I don't,
I volunteer.
Yeah, I volunteer as tribute as well. But like, I think people are at home too, working on cool stuff. And like cooking up good ideas. And we see it over and over again that when we are in tough times, people, especially who are artists, whether that's like visual or writing or musicians, like really rally and speak to that time. And when women do that, I get excited. So I'm looking forward to when we're not under a threat the way we are now, and
multiple
seeing
threats.
What people have produced, though. Well, yeah, multiple threats. I'm being very good right now. Like, I'm gonna say
you don't have to.
I'm not gonna say anything else because
Okay.
I mean, I'll say all the things if you want, but you know where I stand, Lizzy.
We have like 25 minutes. You said. It's just feminism's good. Women are cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's all great. I think that was one of the things that I was going to ask, or say, is like when she goes in and I forget the innkeeper's name.
There's Rank and Lyra.
Yeah, Rank. So he's like, oh, well, the witches weren't so powerful if they couldn't get rid of tin cans.
Uh-huh.
She like goes off on him for a second. Oh, that was amazing.
That's fun, right? And it's also, though, indicative of where she's at, because she wasn't exactly buddy-buddy with those witches,
right.
But she doesn't approve of what happened,
Right.
Like, that's not okay.
Like, she still technically, like, supports them and doesn't, like, want them to die,
It was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
That episode is horrible.
It is. Like, it was just a complete massacre. And
good job, sorry. That was an inappropriate laugh. But yes, the episode massacre was good.
Yeah. I especially liked, when she goes to the massacre, like, she sees it all, and she sees, like, the bodies, and, like, she can't really, like, help them, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and she tries to help the older witch that she finds, and tells her, like, hey, she's off planet.
Yeah.
Like, she tries. That must just be so frustrating.
Yeah. Poor old Daka. Although old Daka, man. She's like, I'm just going to resurrect these corpses to help us out in this fight. Is that cool? And you're like, I guess.
Cool.
Like, you look like you should be baking cookies, but I guess you're just going to create some revenants.
Zombie cookies.
No, maybe the revenants need to eat cookies, you know?
Yeah. What kind of cookies would a revenant eat? Well, a brain cookie, obviously.
Brain cookie.
Yeah.
Brain cookie.
I bet even zombie witches, like zombie witch revenants, don't like raisins in their cookies. Like,
I don't think
Maybe they do if they look like little brains.
they kind of do, but I don't know. Raisins are so evil when you're not expecting them.
Like, I do like my raisin cookie, but I don't like it to trick me.
No, like if you hand me a cookie and say this is a brain raisin cookie, then I shall be fine. That is fine. But if you hand me a cookie and you say this is a brain chocolate chip cookie and then it has raisins in it, you might be an evil witch. That's
I'm
how
gonna have some problems. So start throwing hands.
the droids came. Just secret reasons.
it's just a campaign against raisins.
Yeah. Is there gonna be a sequel?
Oh my god, you're so kind. I don't know, man. People have to want that, I guess.
Well, I want
people.
Yeah, I want people.
I don't know. I mean, I had a really great time, especially working with Jen Heddle, Lucasfilm Publishing. She's just great and gave me good feedback and really helped me out. And then I had like Pablo Hidalgo and Matt Martin from Story Group, just fact checking me and making sure I didn't slip up majorly. I mean, I did my research, but it's really a relief to have those guys look at your stuff and tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And I had a totally pleasant experience. This has been a delight and a pleasant experience, like what we're doing right now, and everyone I've talked to. It's just been really fun. I should probably be writing more than I'm talking, but I don't know. I mean, I would totally do stuff with it, and if somebody asked me to, I would do it. So it's just a matter of if there's a demand for it or interest, then hooray. Yeah.
You should do a show.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I've been watching Dave do that for a long time. I'm not sure.
A comic? I don't know. Something.
Something.
Just more.
Yeah.
More witches, more everything. Even if it would be cool, but having Bug's story continued would also be cool, but also having you expand more on the witches and different clans, that would be cool.
That would be fun, huh?
All of it would be very cool.
Yeah, I think a lot about it. I do it especially I've been going, my one sort of real pandemic exercise has been going swimming at this place up the street from me. And I just am bad at it, and I need to think about other things. Otherwise, I'm just thinking about how bad I am at the swimming. So I just play in my head with it. I'm like, well, what if, so I have a lot of little ideas, little half-formed ideas that if there were any reason for me to play with them and try to make them into something, I would do it. There's stuff. I'm also just taking requests at this point. I'm like, what do you want to see happen? I don't know.
I want the cat to have his own little adventure somewhere.
Excellent. I'm taking notes. Cat.
I'd read that book for sure.
Yes.
Just the cat. No,
that would be really cute, right?
What if he takes down a tin can?
Okay. And that's full stop. End of story. You know what? That would be the cutest, creepiest little picture book if we just had Icor's adventures when he's living at the witch's cottage, because it's just these little rancor walking around, and it's just I don't know. It would be such a weird take on a cute kitty cat story.
That would be a good Star Wars those children's books though, just different cat adventers in Star Wars, Tukas and Love Cats just doing things.
This is dangerous, man, because the thing is I'm very good about giving credit where credit's due. So if anything comes of the Loth Cat or Tuca adventures across the galaxy, I'll be well, That was Zoe and Lizzy. I can't take credit for this, but I will take a check made out to E Anne Convery. No.
You can have it. I'll just take the story.
Aw.
Oh.
Well, hey, make sure, Lizzy, make sure you, I mean, I know I don't want to overload you with stuff because you're on the other coast now. But, you know, I'd be happy to send you out a copy of the book.
Yeah.
So let me know. And Zoe, you already have one.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as the first announcement, I didn't hear, somehow the announcement for like the actual book just kind of went past me. But I heard the announcement that Lorna Kaw was doing the art for a Clone Wars book, and I was like, well, I need that.
Yeah.
So that was when I pre-ordered.
It really is legitimately a pretty beautiful object, you know? And I mean, I just, you know what? I should take my own advice and I should be worried because it's like I got the thing that I wanted. And it's not that I didn't work for it. It wasn't hard or whatever. But then it's kind of arrived and it's just so pretty and I could be in it. And I think I should be like looking around, like, what's going to happen? Is the box about to fall? You know?
Mm-hmm. A witch is going to come by and visit you, tell you a story.
Maybe I could just enjoy it. I mean, there's enough going on right now. We're all living inside that box already.
It's a bedtime story from the witch, you know? That's
Ooh, so
goal of life. We do have one more question for you.
oh, okay.
Like official. We've kind of been asking random questions. This is our official question.
Oh, yeah.
What did it mean to you to contribute to the legacy of the Clone Wars and Star Wars as a whole through this book?
Yes, that is a good question. And it's the question that I like weigh and I could just give you the answer that's like, oh, it means so much to me because, you know, Dave's been working on it for so long and it's like true. But also, and like, you guys know this, like when people are partners, like things bleed into one another. So like Dave has given me really good advice and support on work that I've done in other milieu for the past 18 years. And I have done the same for him. And there's a long running dialogue in our home about feminism and diversity and representation and everything. And I think that over the past 15 years, basically, of like Clone Wars and Rebels and now Mandalorian content and Resistance, can't forget Resistance, that we've seen a real shift in POVs and representation and things that are important that I hope that we continue to see. And I'm not taking credit for that at all. I'm just saying that there's a very alive dialogue in our house. Dave is a good person and wants to do right and wants to tell interesting stories about the people that we really see in our lives and in our world and not just from one point of view. So what I'm saying is that I already feel very included in the legacy of this part of Star Wars and the Clone Wars, because I have always had a strong opinion about it from Ahsoka, who was not always everyone's favorite, like she is now, you know, and the backlash that we had with that. I mean, that was George's idea fully, and it was so great, but also like to see poor Dave be like, so George says that Anakin has a Padawan and she's a girl. Like, you know, it's not that he doesn't want to do that. He sure did want to do that, but he also knew how that would be taken by certain aspects of the fandom. Yeah. And that it would be a fight and that Ashley would have to be ready for that fight, for instance, and for being questioned and grilled and like gatekeeped and like, are you a Star Wars fan and all the stuff. So I'm really excited to actually put my name on a thing that I did. And I'm glad that people seem to like, I mean, I'm more than glad that people seem to like it. That's a real relief. and it was fun to do. But it feels also like a really, so far as my character development arc goes, it feels like a really natural thing because it's something I've been involved with from the beginning, you know, and that's how it works when you have partners and you're creative people and you respect and love each other. You do that work and there's a real exchange that happens, and I'm really lucky to have been on this ride from the beginning, and witnessing all of not just Dave's, but the team's hard work and evolution as storytellers, visual and otherwise. There's your very long answer.
I'm glad you're here.
Me too. Oh, I know what else I was going to say. is that not just like me and Dave having that relationship or whatever, and me having an opinion and Dave actually listening to it crazy, I know. But like, and that's what I was saying with the ladies. That's what it was, is that like, there's no Star Wars without the fandom. I mean, yeah, but like also there's this real interchange. There's nothing like the energy surrounding Star Wars. And it's like, if we don't respect all these facets of fandom, then what's even that project? You know, what are we doing? Like, Star Wars is great, the mythology is great, the stories are fun, the visuals are amazing, like all that stuff, yeah, but like if there's no one to watch it, so like that's how I feel about the book. I'm like, well, if you don't, when you guys are like reading the stuff and telling me things that I didn't know about the stuff, and then very sweetly being like, you're just that good, I'm like, no, I'm not that good, because like I can sit here and write all day and no one will ever read it, but when you read it and start bringing things to it, that's when it lives. And like Star Wars, I think as a whole is the same way. You know? Does that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I think that you're going to have to do a lot of editing of this episode. Because I jumped around.
This whole podcast is honestly
we're famous for that. Not very famous, but we're famous for that.
I think I still think back to like our, like it was like right after Force Awakens came out, and we hadn't been podcasting for like a couple months. And it was like our podcast right after Force Awakens came out. What was that? Our brains were just scrambled after that movie.
We keep like, we made notes. We used to make notes. And then we were like, yeah, we'll do this episode, or we'll do this movie. And then like, we'll try to keep it timeline-wise, like we'll try to go down like in order of what happened in the movie, and then I'm like, oh, but in the end that was so cool. But which is kind of what I did with your book. I'm sorry, your story.
You really
fine, do it up.
I remember I was on another amazing female podcaster, it's Shay, runs is it still the Elven Padawan?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I know she changed like her Instagram handle, and that like threw me for a loop. But and her podcast is really good, but I remember I think both of us were on it the one time, and she had like actual notes with like structure and pictures. We were like, oh god, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Virgo? Sounds like a Virgo move.
Well, I'm a Virgo, and clearly that's not.
I'm an Aries. We just do it.
I know, and that's what I love about Aries, is they just do it. But I'm also a Virgo. And we do it, but it's a nightmare. It's a mess. But then we present you with like, here's this perfect thing. And you just don't see the nightmare that it took to produce the thing.
Nah, it was...
That's my mom, sister, and I are all Virgos, and that's definitely like our house.
Yeah. Like it's probably just like a mess, but you all know where things are.
Well, I mean, my mom is actually very like organized and clean, so like all of her stuff is very organized. And then you'll like go into like me and my sister's rooms, and but like I know where things are.
Yeah, exactly. Like I used to when I worked at Disney TV Animation, which is where Dave and I met. The mess of my desk was legendary, and it drove my producer mad. It was really rough. But he would like come up, and I think he was literally trying to stump me. He'd be like, so where's blah, 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 blah. And I could like reach into the pile of junk and just pull it out without breaking eye contact with him. I'd be like, here you go. Because I just knew. I knew where things were.
I left a lot. I feel like I left a lot of mess at home. Because I just had a drawer of like small little things just randomly. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't find anything, so it didn't matter.
Fine, you're an Aries. You're not supposed to be able to find things. People should be finding things for you while you cook for them. Like that's what should be happening.
Of course. Even when cooking, it's like the kitchen has like little things that I've only used once for one recipe because it was like super fancy and whatever. Like I think they still have Dijon mustard in there, and I don't think they know how to use it. So
it is an art because it can be too much very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have like random like really like out there like spices that you like almost never use like in our cabinet, like almost full, because like there was like one recipe that needed it,
Yeah.
We used it, and then we just have it. Never used it again.
I have those spices. I really need to kind of do a go through. This is the most exciting part of this podcast. I think you should lead with it,
Yeah.
where I say, yeah, guys, I totally get it about spices. I think I'm going to go through my spice cabinet and get rid of some of the outdated spices.
Yes. I needed to go out and buy a pot and a pan. They're so expensive.
It can be good ones.
I know.
Terrible.
We went to IKEA for mine because I had a kitchen this year in my dorm. I didn't have one last year, and so I had to get. I mean, now I don't have one because I have to go home. But got a great 2 weeks out of those. But we just went to IKEA, and there was like just so many. I mean, I love IKEA. I could live in IKEA, I think. But there was like so many different ones. And, like some were like really expensive, and some like weren't.
How great would it be to just live at IKEA? Like, I'm just going to live in this fake kitchen that you've created. That's
Fake.
right.
None of the faucets work. Well, it's fine. We don't need water.
I was like, when I was a kid, I spent like a really weirdly large amount of time in IKEA because it was the halfway point between my house and my cousin's house, and we would have sleepovers, and our moms would meet
At IKEA?
right in the middle. And then you can't just like briefly visit IKEA. You have to make like a thing out of it. So we were always just like going through IKEA like a lot.
If
Yeah,
I
my
lived
mom
at
liked
IKEA, you'd find me like in the bottom shelf of a Billy bookcase, just like shoving meatballs into my mouth. Like,
Yes.
that's how I would survive if I could only live inside the IKEA.
All frozen. Still frozen.
Just smeared with lingonberry sauce.
Like
Ice cream.
all the like really generic stuffed animals. That's where I was.
Oh, that would be nice. That's so nice. You make a little nest. All right. Is this good? Did I answer your questions?
Yeah.
Should I go away?
Yes.
Okay.
Very well.
Be kind to me. If you can edit out me being a real idiot, do. If you can't, that's okay too. Give them the real.
You're awesome.
You guys are awesome.
So much fun. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Apologies for my father harassing you.
No, he needed to, and I told him because he was like, I'm gonna try one more time, and I was like, oh, Dad. And I was just like, no, I'm really glad because I couldn't find where you messaged me and I couldn't remember, so this is something I've been wanting to do. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, if you ever want to come on just for like
No.
talk about an episode or something, come on.
No, you're gonna have to. No, you have to invite me. I'm not inviting myself to the party.
Vampire. This is the witch theme, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
need to be invited.
Thank you.
Okay, you will be invited. And we'll have my dad pop in while in the car, apparently.
Perfect.
And have
Okay.
Axel try and get a bit of crime.
Yeah, Axel threatening to murder people with the vehicle. No big deal.
Literally all I hear is, that guy is jaywalking. Let's run him over. No.
He doesn't mean it.
No, he doesn't, but
You don't sound sure about that.
Doesn't mean it. He just means it.
he can't do it. So, like, it's fine.
No, not now. All right, ladies, I'm going to sign off if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone listening, get the Clone Wars stories of Light and Dark.
Oh, yeah. Am I supposed to plug the thing?
But yeah, get it if you haven't. I haven't read all the stories, but it's good. Art's great. Buy it just for the art. Hang it on your wall, honestly.
Yeah, honestly. If you don't like words, just buy it.
Nail a whole book on the wall, yeah.
Yeah. And do you want to plug any like social media things or anything?
Oh, sure. I mean, if you want, you can follow me on Instagram. It's just E Anne Convery, and that's where I do the most stuff. So I have a lot of dog content, a lot of how my digestive system is working content, and occasionally, like, I might say something in passing about Star Wars. So, if those things are your jam.
Top tier, iconic, very.
But thank you so much. This was really fun.
Yeah, love to have you on. We will definitely invite you more often.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I'll be here
same.
in my house because I'm not going anywhere else, so it's fine.
Nope, not until people are acting right. So
Yeah. But hey,
I would like to thank all the great people at my university that decided having parties and not wearing masks was a good idea. Thank you a lot.
yeah. Yeah, my friend who teaches there would also like to thank them. She really appreciates it. Makes her feel secure.
yeah.
Many thanks.
No, let's not end on that note, guys.
No.
Your story was amazing, and you're amazing, and I appreciate you as a person. You're just great.
All right, I'm gonna sign off.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Bye.
I love you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much. See
Be
ya.
so good. Be safe. Be
You
healthy.
You too. Bye bye.
She's gone. I guess we'll do
Awesome.
girl goodbyes. So Instagram now we have one. That's
We do. It's SW Geek Girl, and I shall update it.
yeah. Twitter is I still get notifications for it. It's unused because Twitter's kind of a horrible place.
Yeah,
sometimes.
it is.
And then there's a Star Wars Geek Girl Facebook page. And if you're hearing this, you obviously know where to listen to us. But if you want to listen to us again on other places, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify now, that's the thing.
Oh.
Other places, are we on the, I don't know what the other phones, is it like Google Play? Is that one? Are we on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question mark.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. Just listen to us somewhere.
Yeah, find us. We're everywhere. Always.
Always. And
Yeah, that was fun.
it was really fun. She's very sweet.
Yeah.
And I will send her a message about coming on more often.
So that was, I guess goodbye. Thank you for listening.
Go buy the book. Don't just read it for Anne's. I mean, you should, but read all of it too. And
I haven't read the other stories, but I've heard many great things.
me too.
Like I said earlier, my brain can't process reading more than one book at once. So Inferno Squad has all my focus right now. I'm almost done.
Oh, I'm sure my dad would love that.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I was Lizzie.
I was Zoe. Thank you for listening. May the force be with you, and goodbye.
See, fun one. There.
Okay. Good. What?
All right, I'm leaving. I just want to make sure the sound is good. All the sound good?
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, levels look good.
All right.
I'm still waiting on Lizzie, I think.
Cool. So, wait, are you a Temple University student?
Yes. Yeah, I'm in my 4 year.
I have a friend who teaches there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So she's been kind of updating me on so we're having some in-person classes, and she had to wear a mask and a face shield and all this stuff, and then the ongoing saga of oh no, I guess we're not gonna have classes.
No.
Which we knew the whole time.
Yeah.
But we're when will Temple know?
Yeah. I mean, I know I have a videography class that is still gonna go in person, but I don't really feel I really want to still do that.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. But then also, if I move out, at this point, if I move out of my dorm by the 13th, I get a full refund. And since I can still take that class online, as an option, it'd be kind of stupid to not take the refund.
Yeah, that's what they're afraid of, I think, is that people are going to take that refund because the university is obviously, trying to get as much money as they can, is what's happening, before they can't.
Yeah. I know, a lot of my friends were on, apartments off campus, so they can't, get out of their lease, which, sucks, but...
It does suck, but at least they're in Philly.
Yeah.
Which is, I've been to Philadelphia many times, so we should really see each other one of these times when travel happens again, because I think it's a great town. I love it.
I love Philly.
Yeah. And And it's not just like the sandwiches or whatever. I just always have a really nice time when I'm there.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to explore.
Mhm. Don't mind me. I just have been like running around, and you sent me your questions very thoughtfully or whatever, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And I looked at them, but I didn't get to like think about them because things are a little wacky here right now.
I understand.
But that's okay. We'll make do. We can figure it out.
Yeah. We don't have too many questions. I don't want to like overwhelm you. So, and give you time to talk.
I have all the time now. Like I don't have anything going on until 7:30 my time here. So, Lizzy, why aren't you there?
You can click ask to unmute.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm like, hi.
Hi.
I'm just trying to get this porg sticker off my camera. There you go.
Porg sticker.
Amazing.
Porg sticker. Yeah. How are you? Same. Yeah.
Yeah, like happy starting college, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure everything you envisioned it to be.
Well,
Yeah.
I wish, but it's okay.
But wait, where are you going to school?
In New York, the Culinary Institute of America.
Right. That's why I needed your I needed a mailing address for you because you need to have a starting school present, and I was like, I know she's doing culinary stuff in NYC.
Yeah, I think I know like the dorm address, but it's kind of like right now. Like I'm still, I just want to get there and make sure.
Yeah, no, I got you. Definitely just let me know. Because I was harassing your parents
Kinda
about
dark
it.
in
And
here.
I know you had left. So you guys are both in Pennsylvania right now.
Yes.
But you're not together in Pennsylvania?
No, I had to work on some packing. I have like 3 suitcases and 9 bins of dorm stuff right now.
Okay.
A lot.
That is a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But hey, it's fine. Right now we're just gonna talk about some Star Wars.
I got my dorm and packed to move out, so fun times.
Yeah.
I'm scared that's going to happen to me. Like, I brought all this stuff because it's me and a dorm buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And they told us, like, oh, you have to buy your own pots and pans. You have to buy this on your own and stuff. And I'm like, all right, fine. But it's just so much stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. Well, if you end up not needing it this year, you will need it eventually. So there's that.
What is it? Oh, okay, the stuff that, yeah.
Oh, your stuff.
I'm
just gonna send you a puppy. That's
yeah.
what every college student living in a dorm wants, right?
No, send it to my dad. He'll enjoy that.
Your dad is the best. He's so intense. I love him.
That's
Actually,
one word.
That's a good word for him.
Both your parents have their own intensity, and I'm like, this is a lot, and I wish I could match it. I love them, and then I've failed. I've just failed every time because I'm too tired.
No, you're amazing. We love you.
We're doing this thing like for reals.
Yes.
Like I'm on your podcast. Your dad, Zoe, was like, "Are you gonna ever answer my messages?" And I was like, "Hey, man, I was looking for your message. I couldn't find it."
I get our parents are just intense, I guess.
I loved it. I was like, "You're going so hard for your daughter right now, and I am here for it." But because the thing is that I knew you guys had this podcast, and I'm like, I want to do it. Like, I didn't want to, because I couldn't find his message. I was like, I don't want to send a message and be like, "Do you guys want me on your podcast?" Like, you don't need that.
Always want you on the podcast.
Well, it worked out.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zoe's dad.
Thank you aggressively. Your book was really good. Let's start.
Star Wars geek girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.